Where does it stand right now?
I would think it's probably safe to say we're continuing the investigation just like we did 4 months ago. I mean, it's a little more organized, as you can imagine. It was total chaos initially, but there's a little bit of a smaller group, but we're still utilizing all the resources that we can. We're still getting tips and leads, not as many. I mean, we're getting tons. I would say my best guess is 10 to 15 a day. But, you know, we're not covering, some days we cover 15 or 20 leads. And some days we may only cover 2 or 3. It just depends on how good the tip is. So if we get just a name, then that takes a lot of investigative effort on our part to find out who that is. If we get a nickname or, you know, or just a phone number, an address, then we got to put a lot of time and effort in, and that's our job, and we do that. But those take a little longer to cover. If we get, you know, we talked about a little bit off record, some people do their own investigative work for us, which is good. So if we get a lot of information, some of those tips and leads are covered a little quicker. But we continue to do a lot of things that we were doing day one. I mean, we're still following up on those. We're still knocking on doors to see if we can find any witnesses. We're still tracking down people that were in the area that we may have talked to, but we want to talk to again. So we're still doing that, and we'll continue to do that until we have exhausted all investigative leads.
Some people will say this case has gone cold. Do you not agree with that?
Absolutely don't agree with that. I mean, just like I said, to me, and I don't know what the definition of a cold case is, but to me it's when you've investigated all the leads, you've exhausted every investigatory effort, and we're far from that. I mean, we are, like I said, getting tips and leads in every day. We're following up on other witnesses that were in the area. And then once we complete the investigation, say we complete it today, we don't get any more tips or leads, we're done, we followed up, we interviewed everybody, we're going to go back through that and double and triple check. We've already started that in some areas. So to call this a cold case is just ridiculous. It's not even close. I mean, we have months and months of work to do until we find the monster that's responsible for this. So not even close to being cold.
Do you think we are closer to finding who did this?
Yeah, and I think we talked about it last time, Paris, is we're eliminating, right now we're just eliminating people as suspects. We take a lot of time and effort to do that, so yeah, it's a process.
And in this case, you guys kind of have to make sure it's 110% before an arrest is ever made, right?
Absolutely. I mean, we talk about it, you know, dot our I's, cross our T's, be very thorough. Like I said, we utilize a lot of resources, the FBI, the state police, the county, the city. So we're utilizing a lot of things, and we're doing everything we can, because the easy part, which it's obviously not easy, but is finding and developing the suspect. Once we do that, and we will, and we make an arrest, that's when the hard part starts. That's when we start preparing for trial, and that's when we work we've been working very close with Prosecutor Rob Ives, but that's when we really get to know Rob, and we work really close with the prosecutor's office, and we talk about proving this beyond a reasonable doubt to the jury, and that's when the real work starts. I mean, we have busted our butts and we're working our tails off every day here, and but when we develop that suspect and get that make that arrest, it's going to be a lot more work for us, but we're ready to do that. We're up for the challenge, and we'll be there. We'll get there.
And you said earlier there's a lot of speculation on Facebook. And we have had that kind of since the beginning of this case. It's just taken national attention. How important is it for people to realize that you guys have a job to do and you can't share information because it could affect the case?
Yeah, you know, I get asked questions all the time by a lot of different people, media, friends, family. And when we use this term a lot, we have to protect the integrity of the investigation. A lot of people don't understand that. Whoever did this is probably the only person that knows some details of this case. A lot of people think they know, and there was a lot of people in the area, and there's a lot of information out there that is known, but sometimes it's embellished or over exaggerated. And you know, we just talked to the family the other day to try to squash some rumors, and but the public needs to know that whoever did this, that they are the only ones that know. 1 or 2 people, however many, you know, we don't know, but if it's one person, he's the only person that knows this. He's the only one that knows the details. And we go to interview him, get to that point. That's why we got to protect the integrity of the investigation. Not just even the interview, but once we go to trial, the prosecutor has to be able to say that nobody knew about these details. So when people guess, and sometimes they get close, but when they do that, it jeopardizes our investigation, and we really frown upon that. When we realize everybody wants to help, I mean, even within our own community here, there's people out there doing their own investigative work, but we appreciate that, but sometimes that just kind of impedes our investigation. So keep calling in tips and leads. That's what we want. If you get something that you want us to follow up on, call us. Let us do our job, and we will. And the other thing is, it does take a while. I mean, we've got, I don't know what the number's up to, maybe but several tips and leads. So we do get a lot of calls saying, I called this tip in, 3 weeks ago. Well, I'm not saying that we're 3 weeks behind, but we do prioritize. So if we get a lot of information on one tip today, we might run with it. If there's not a whole lot of information, that may get put on the back burner for a little bit until we get these other tips that have more information for us. So so be patient. I know that there's a lot of people calling, and I don't want to say complain, but there's a lot of people calling wanting to know why they haven't been contacted, or they called this tip in and they don't think it's been followed up on. And that's another thing. We may not actually call the tipster. They may have provided us with enough information that we don't need to bother them or contact them. Sometimes we might. So don't be upset if we don't contact you if you call in a tip or lead, because if you did a good job, then we have enough information to follow up on. We may never ever call you unless it's the tip and you get the reward, and then we'll let you know. But so yeah, just be patient. That's probably the toughest thing for us to do. Is everybody wants to solve this today, and us too, but these types of cases go on, unfortunately. So
last time we talked a lot about today is the day. You think it's still one of these days we will have this thing that breaks the case?
Yeah, I do, absolutely. I mean, it's hard to stay positive 4 months into it, but you read about, you see on TV, a lot of these cases are multiple years later before they get solved, and we hope not. We hope today is the day, and today is the day that we're going to put 110% effort. We're going to utilize every resource that's available to go out there and follow up on the tips and leads that we're getting. So it's kind of that motto. I mean, I know most people read into that, and we believe that keeps us going, that today could be the day. And today's the day that we're going to go out there and work our butts off and find the piece of evidence that breaks this case open, because we're close. I mean, it's like, I talk to a lot of people, it's like a 5,000 piece puzzle. And another person gave me this analogy that we talked about, and I utilize it a lot, but we have the edge, put together. That's what you do first. You put the corners together, you get the edge together, but there's a lot of missing pieces in the middle. And the thing we don't have is the box with the picture on it. So we don't know what we're actually looking for. I mean, we obviously know we're looking for a guy that murdered 2 young girls. But as far as the pieces of that puzzle, where to go, there's still a lot of unanswered questions that we're trying to figure out. So if you can imagine doing that, putting together a 5,000 piece puzzle without a picture of it, it gets a little difficult. So
still believe someone knows something that they haven't shared yet?
Absolutely. I really do. I think, and I get it. If somebody that I knew did something this violent, I would be, if I wasn't in law enforcement, it'd be hard for me to make that call. But they need to, because like I said last time we talked, is, this could be, if this guy or the guys or whoever, the monsters that did this, they possibly could do this again. And next time it could be your sister or daughter or granddaughter or cousin or whatever, somebody you know and love and care about. And we don't want that. That's what keeps us awake at night as law enforcement officers. That's what keeps us thinking about this case. Obviously, we care about Abby and Libby and their families and bringing justice for them. That's priority. But the second priority is not allowing this to ever happen again. That's our job, just to keep peace. And it's frustrating when you can't do that, or you don't feel comfortable that you're doing everything. We're doing everything we can, but there's always that in the back of your head. It's like, what could we do better? What could we do different? Does somebody out there know just something about it, just to get us going in a better direction? I mean, right now we're just covering everything. So Yeah, I believe somebody out there knows, and I told you last time, we're begging, pleading with them to give us that information, make that phone call. And if they need to remain anonymous, we have ways to do that. So please call us.